Welcome back everybody to our helpful reviews and tips. Today, as you can see, I just received from the company that ran over my metal detector. They replaced the parts and we're going to get into it and do a little upgrading here to my machine. Prior to that happening, I actually had just ordered a brand new battery. So before we get into changing the shaft and the coil on this, we're going to go ahead and jump into changing the battery on it. So stay tuned, we're getting ready to hop into it.
Boots crunch dirt in the morning light, coals whine as they spring to life. Red clay dreams and relic calls, chasing echoes neath the tall corn walls. Dust kicks up on old farm roads with a shovel and a camera roll. Signal beeps, my heart ignites, another chapter waiting to unfold. Indiana unearthed, secrets in the ground, coins and buttons, tales profound. Every dig a mystery, every find a prize. Metal gods sing beneath Hoosier skies.
Many of you had previously seen the video where unfortunately my metal detector had been ran over. So this is the coil right here, is where the coil snapped in half here. They did replace that with an 11-inch coil, which is the same that I already had. So I have all the pieces here for that. This is the shaft part that snapped. You can see there the carbon fiber on it, and it also bent the shaft, so this is all jammed in there. So we're going to be replacing that as well with this brand new Detector carbon fiber shaft. This is the telescope shaft. This also came with Detector arm cuff, and I can already tell I'm really going to like this. Just picking up the box with everything that I had in it, it was super light. Hopefully that'll help out a little bit as far as wearing my arm out with swinging. I'm sure some of you can relate. Alright everyone, let's get ready to get into changing this battery. Alright everyone, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the main head here off, and you have these 4 screws here, and they're Allen head screws. So we're just going to go ahead and loosen this up and take these off. Alright, so once you've completed this step, typically you would just leave this bottom piece on. But since we're changing the shaft as well, we'll go ahead and take this off of there. Make sure you don't lose your screws here. So we'll set those over here to the side. Alright, so once we pull that off there's that little notch right there, so you just have to be careful. You can't pry on it too much because it does lock in that hole right there. So we'll set this off to the side. This is your battery right here, and you'll have to use another Allen key there to unscrew that. So we'll just get ready to unscrew this here. Definitely want to make sure you don't lose that little screw there. That'll just pull out. Then we're going to take a pair of needle nose pliers, and we're lightly going to pull up on this little metal bar right here. This little metal piece that comes across, we'll just barely pull up on that. Alright, so now that we got that screw taken out, you want to take your needle nose pliers. You just want to get a firm grip on that. Now you don't want to pry on it too hard because you can break the plastic. You slowly want to pull that out, and then it'll pop out like that. And then right here's your connector piece. So then you'll just take this, Should be able to lift it up pretty easy, and that just pulls out. Alright, so you want to be careful with this step. As you've seen, I kind of pulled a little hard there, but that just disconnects there. This battery's shot anyways, so we'll get ready to set this to the side and pull our new battery out. Now I will let you guys know this new battery that I got, it didn't come with this top piece, but it does have the sticky parts that you'll need to water seal it. So we'll be putting all that together. I just pulled this off the old one, as you can see there. So we'll get ready to put all these pieces on here. Alright everyone, so right here, this is the new battery. This is the replacement battery that we're going to be using. And it does look like this little gasket ring that was around this, it looks like it's kind of bent up, unfortunately. So hopefully that won't cause any issues, because this is what waterproofs the battery. But that's how I just pulled it out, and it looks like it's kind of been sitting in there for a while. So just be very careful with that. Make sure we don't break that, because that goes around this piece here. So actually, as a matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and put that back on there. Hopefully it stays on okay. But you can see there where it was pinched down. Now you do have this other ring here that would help as well to keep the water out of it. We'll set that to the side. Now what we're going to do here is they have these little foam pieces that came with the new battery, and we'll just kind of match it up and see what it looks like, because it does look, and up here, that this round one here just sticks on the end. And they're sticky on both sides. So we'll go ahead and put this one on this end. And then we'll take that cover piece and put this back on there. Push it down, make sure it's on there real good. And then we'll take this other little foam piece here, and we'll kind of try to match it up exactly how it is on the original battery. Alright, so now that that's completed, this is the new battery that we're getting ready to put in. And here's the old battery. We'll take our head unit here again as well, and we'll get ready to clip this back in with this connector piece. Alright, we are connected there. Now you got to make sure that you're not going to pinch your wires on the side. So just kind of guide that down back in there. Like so. And this will set right back down in there. And then get ready to put this screw back in there. Now, also to add, you don't need to over tighten this either, because again, you don't want to break the plastic. But you just want it in there snug enough that you're not going to get any water down in your battery if you are to use this in water settings. Just want to snug it up there. Okay. Alright, so now we got the battery replaced. Make sure everything's going to turn on and work okay. Alright, and we do have power. So that is the first step that we're going to be doing. Of course, it's going to shut off because the coil's not hooked up to it. So, alright, that was the battery change. Now we're going to get ready to get into replacing the shaft. Alright, and before we get ready to put the shaft on, I just want to go ahead and get the arm cuff ready. So again, this is Detector, and this is our arm cuff here. So we'll get ready to pull this out, and it looks like they already include the Allen wrench, so that's good. Let's see what else we have here. Also looks like they got a little wrench there, a couple of the bracket pieces. So this is what's going to go around the shaft itself, and then you have your bolts here and the nuts. And then this is the arm cuff itself. So that's going to be your bottom. That's going to be your top piece there. Looks like they have the pad and the arm cuff strap. So we'll get ready to assemble this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get this pad put on here. Get it all lined up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure these are lined up with enough space so we can get our bolts in. Kind of slowly just work it down. All right. So next, we're going to get ready to put the little brackets on here. You'll just take that and slide it up there. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other side. And actually, as a matter of fact, what I might do at this step, I'll go ahead and slide these over as well. Make sure that those are set down in there. So we'll go ahead and put this bottom plate on now. Just line this up. And then we'll just go ahead and start the nuts on there just so it holds it in place until we're ready to put the shaft through it. Alright, so there's the arm cuff, and that is ready to be placed on the shaft. So let's get ready to get into that. Alright everyone, I went ahead and took out my new shaft here. This is the Detector telescope shaft here. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this bottom plate put on. So we'll go ahead and get ready to get this set in there, and it just snaps in there. We'll get this head unit lined up like so. Kind of push it down there a little bit. Get your holes lined up. And then we'll grab our screws here. And we'll just go ahead and get it started. And again, when you're tightening these, you don't want to overdo it. When you overdo it, you have a chance of cracking your plastic. You just want it to sit down in there so it kind of pulls the bottom piece and the top piece together So after I do this, I'll jump back over to the first one I started and just get a good little tighten on it again. It doesn't have to be too much. We'll get ready to put the arm cuff on. Alright, for the arm cuff here, I'm just going to take it, and hopefully it can just slide right over. That's why I left it kind of loose. Yep, so we'll go ahead and just kind of ease that on there. Lay this over on its side so I can see from both sides. So we'll go ahead and use this little wrench here. Kind of take it, and it's still loose enough that you can kind of adjust it about where you want it. Alright, I think that's on there pretty good. Like I said, again, don't want to over tighten it. Kind of feel here how it feels. Sits really nice. It's pretty straight and even. Alright, we'll get ready to put on the bottom shaft piece here and get ready to put the brand new coil on. Alright, and this part should be pretty easy for anybody who's ever changed out a coil in general. This is all the parts that come with the coil. You have your two little rubber pieces that goes on the shaft, and then this is your bolt here, or plastic screw that goes in there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take this and we're going to put these little rubber pieces down in the shaft here. They just snap in. Like so. Now what we'll do is we'll slide this onto the coil. Might be a little bit of a snug fit, but it's okay. You don't want it too loose. I think something else that I've been kind of looking at getting is a coil stabilizer. So you just want to look down through there, make sure your holes are lined up. Now with this being plastic and these here being plastic, you don't want to over tighten it. You never want to over tighten your coil. And that's another thing here as well. So I just ran into a little bit of an issue because this wasn't seated down super tight, so it just started to pull, and you don't want that. Pretty well lined up. You can see all the way through it, as you guys can see. So now we'll get ready to put coil screw in here. Just kind of work it. Be careful when doing so. Again, you don't want to overdo it or snap this bolt, because then you'll be out of commission again. And this just screws in. Kind of got to push it, screw it at the same time, and it'll slowly work its way in there. Alright, so we'll get ready to attach this to the upper shaft and get ready to wrap the coil, and we should be good to go. Alright, now for this part here, with this being a telescope shaft, it's got this piece here that loosens up. Don't want to overdo it because then it'll pop off like it just did on me. Don't need to overdo it. So I'll leave it about right there just so it's kind of holding on. Now we'll take our bottom shaft piece and put it in there. Again, just like everything else, you don't need to overdo it. Just get it tightened down enough that you can close it and it'll hold the shaft fairly tight. Get everything lined up. Alright, so there's that. We will get ready to start wrapping the coil here. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do here before I put the coil all the way on and wrap it, I'm just going to take my coil snake off my old coil and I'm just going to feed this on here. And again, this is something it's not really necessary. It's just kind of personal preference, kind of just personalizing your own metal detector. And these things kind of can be tricky to put on. Alright, we're finally there at the end. Probably need to take a lighter and kind of melt that back down just a little bit. And then you'll just stretch it back out there. Make sure that covers down. And then we'll take it and we will start wrapping it. Up the shaft here. Again, I try not to over wrap my cord, because if you over wrap it and then you try to move it, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Maybe tighten it up just a little bit more. Give it enough playroom down here by the coil that you're able to move it. Again, we'll get ready to turn this on. All right. As you guys can hear, coil's hooked up. Let's run a metal object over it. Maybe something a little flatter. All right. And we are back up and ready to rock and roll. All right, everyone, so that's going to wrap up this video on this tutorial on how to do a complete shaft change, putting a new coil on, and replacing the battery in the Equinox 800. So, as you guys saw from the beginning, there's the old shaft that got broke and snapped during that accident that occurred, and there is the coil again. Probably going to keep the coil cover here just as a backup. After that, this is what we're left with. I went ahead and I put the arm cuff on as well. Everything is hooked up, sounds right, and we are ready to get back out. You know, I'm really glad that everything worked out the way that it did, and we were able to come to a resolution on fixing the broken pieces for my machine. So thank you to the folks who stuck by their word on everything and replaced the parts that were broke. I do really appreciate it. I would just like to give a huge shout out again to our friend Bo for letting me use his metal detector in the meantime. I greatly appreciate it. And I think that's going to get ready to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed that on our helpful tips and reviews playlist right here on YouTube. So until next time, happy hunting, my friends, and we will see you on the next episode of Indiana Unearthed.
Boots crunch dirt in the morning light. Coils whine as they spring to life. Red clay dreams and relic calls, chasing echoes neath the tall corn walls. Dust kicks up on old farm roads with a shovel and a camera roll. Signal beeps, my heart ignites. Another chapter waiting to unfold.